Hello everyone. Today I will be sharing an audio presentation by an individual who goes by the initials TP. TP is currently a lawyer, but he also served in the Royal Canadian Navy. He has some fascinating information to share about his professional experiences with radar and navigation in the Navy, but I think you'll simply enjoy hearing from a well-educated, genuine person who has simply awakened to the fact that the globe does not hold up to observations and scrutiny. At the end, he emphasizes the forgotten fact that real science is not about believing anything. Instead, real science is based on observations and questions, and that's what Flat Earth is all about. It's a very humble position. Again, if you are a globe skeptic and believe you have important information to share with everyone regarding the Flat Earth, please contact me at tabooconspiracy@gmail.com. Also, if you'd like to hear from other professionals regarding the Flat Earth, I suggest you watch Mark Sargent's playlist Flat Earth Testimony Shows by Subject Matter Experts. Yes, many professionals confirm a flat and stationary Earth. I'll have a link in the description. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed listening to TP as much as I did, and watch for him in the comments, as he did say that he will try to answer any legitimate questions you might have.
I was born in the United Kingdom in 1969. And have lived in Canada most of my life. I'm married for 23 years and have 2 adult daughters. I was born and raised a Hindu by force, lived decades as a venomous and mocking atheist, slid into agnosticism for many more years, and within the past few years developed an extremely close relationship to my Creator and God. I don't know who or what God is, or even his real name, and I don't know which religion is correct. I understand God only as a creator who has given me anything and everything I have in life. I don't know much more than this. I grew up in Ontario during the 1970s in an incredibly multi-ethnic neighborhood. Jews, blacks, French Canadians, Anglo-Saxon Protestants, Turks, Muslims, you name it, our block had it. I can't ever say that I was ever an independent or even forward thinker, even though I did somewhat march to the beat of my own offbeat drum. I graduated from University of Toronto with an honors Bachelor of Science, completing a double major in toxicology and human biology, and a Master of Science in pharmacy. In my undergraduate years, I took all the science, technology, engineering, mathematics, meaning STEM, type classes, including chemistry, physics, and even a course in astronomy. I graduated from law school in the late 1990s, and I've been operating a law firm for almost 20 years. I'm a registered patent agent, and the bulk of my work relates to protecting inventions and technological advancements in Canada, the United States, and overseas markets. I discovered Flat Earth quite by accident almost 2 years ago. Let me start by saying that when I talk about curvature, as in the Earth's curvature, I'm referring to curvature in a globe sense, as opposed to radial planar curvature, which is consistent with flat and globe models of Earth. Think east to west circumnavigation, which can be done on both on flat paper as well as on a globe or ball. From YouTube videos by Bart Zabrell, I was referred to the site theflatearthpodcast.com, where I found a very interesting array of videos. I wouldn't say exactly that I'm a flat earther. I'm a believer in the scientific method, which I define as determining the odds that a repeated set of controlled observations is due to nothing more than chance alone. That's your p-value for all you hardcore scientists. It's a myth and a lie that science proves things. Real science is about a null hypothesis and the rejection or failure to reject a null hypothesis. Every real scientist worth their salt will tell you they know nothing. And it's not some cooked up false sense of modesty, nor is it mockery. Real scientists understand the scientific method, And that's why they understand they actually know nothing. Real science doesn't tell you what you know. Real science tells you what you don't know. So to me, I have no idea if the Earth is truly flat or not, and I doubt I'll ever actually know. That stated, my own observations do not support and are not consistent with an observable Earth curvature in a globe sense. If the Earth does have curvature in the globe sense, the Earth is probably much larger than the accepted mathematics dictates, but again, I don't know. During my life, I was also blessed to serve in the Canadian Navy for 6 years. I was a junior officer, and so in the United States Navy, the equivalent ranks would be ensign, lieutenant junior grade, and I was trained in the bridge watchkeeping trade. A bridge watchkeeper oversees the entire ship while sailing on behalf of the captain. Responsibilities include navigation, conning, anchoring, vessel boarding, and overseeing emergency responses such as fire, floods, and man overboard. Bearing in mind this was more than 20 years ago, I was on what was then called minesweepers, and they were classified as minor war vessels. The bottom line was that if anything happened during the watch in terms of the ship running aground or being improperly placed into danger, it would be the captain and the bridge watchkeeper who would go to the brig. It's this naval experience of mine that relates to the flat Earth question. Please remember all of these things happened 20 years ago, so I'll do my best to accurately recall what I can remember. It is always possible the testimony of others will conflict with my experience. You also have to remember that prior to my naval experience, I was a city-based landlubber, and I was not well suited to the true naval lifestyle. I sailed in and swam in both the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. It was somewhat discombobulating for me when we were out at deep sea, which for me was at distances of approximately 250 miles from land. I don't know why I remember such a strange marker or number like that, but to my best recollection, that's roughly how far away from land I sailed at my maximum, meaning 250 miles. I remember being on the bridge and looking around and thinking that it was the first time in my life I could look in every direction and not actually see land with my eye. Sometimes I could make out rough, hazy shapes using binoculars, but I confess I can't be sure of what I saw, if anything. It made me feel weird, and no, I did not per se even notice that the horizon was flat in a 360-degree direction. What I mean is, the horizon was apparently flat, but I failed to note then, or appreciate then, that the horizon was apparently flat, and I could access a 360-degree view by walking around to different places on the bridge and upper deck. Back then, we used paper charts, and there was always a chart on the charting table, no matter where we were sailing. All of our charts, of course, always had at least one land point as a reference. I've never seen a chart that is all blue and indicating nothing but water. As junior officers, we were responsible for what is termed visual and blind navigation. Visual navigation refers to using a gyro compass on the bridge and visually measuring bearings based on landmarks, etc. Blind navigation refers to the fact that for whatever reason, you cannot rely solely on your visual sense. For example, you're too far away from land to see, or it's nighttime, or it's foggy, and so you have to use aids like radar. Trying to estimate for the height of the ship, I would have guessed that our radar reflector was probably not more than 100 feet from water level. Again, that's a very rough guess based only on my memory, and I can't attest to the specifics. I'm just trying to offer a rough visual. Going back to my experience about feeling discombobulated when I would look around and not see land, I would often comfort myself by going over to the radar and looking at the picture. Again, I never thought of flat Earth or global curvature or anything like this back then. I assumed everything I was told was true and that the Earth is a globe. Anyway, I remember seeing our radar screen paint land bits, islands and islets, from as far away as at least 100 miles. Honestly, I remember painting land farther away than that, but to try to account for time past and my memory, I'll put it at the lower end of 100 miles. However, realistically, my memory strongly favors seeing land painted on radar well in excess of 100 miles, by which I mean the 150 to 200 mile range. The thing is, most of these little islands and islets weren't exactly significant in elevation either. They were, relatively speaking, small chunks of land rock out in the middle of the water with some trees, some with nothing more than rocks and sand. These islets and islands did not have skyscrapers on them. They were all, or mostly, as I recall, uninhabited. Undoubtedly, some of them had hills and I figure maybe even trees as high as 100 feet. Regardless, it's my memory recall and my belief that we were painting land on our radar screen at distances well in excess of 100 miles. The established mathematics, meaning the Earth curvature formula, suggests I shouldn't have been able to see these islets painted on radar unless these islets had elevations of a few thousand feet. I can only tell you that I truly believe I did see these islets painted on radar at distances of 150 miles or more, and these weren't exactly mountains popping out of the ocean. I leave the conclusion to others, and people are welcome to challenge my observation. My observations aren't infallible. I can tell you only what I believe I remember. And frankly, this specific naval memory didn't come to mind until probably some months after stumbling onto flat Earth research. This memory was otherwise dormant or lost for 2 decades. I don't think flat Earth is some big conspiracy where naval officers are standing around and discussing how they can hide the truth about the Earth's shape. I think the reality of it is that we just never thought of these things, and most people navigating ships don't think about the Earth's curvature in the globe sense. In planning our navigation passages, we never accounted for the Earth's rotation or global curvature. We planned our passages off of flat charts with a Mercator projection, which is not inconsistent with a flat surface Earth if the North Pole counts as the radial center. And we attempted to sail in straight tracks. We were required to calculate astronomics for wherever we may have been, based on latitude and longitude alone, using the Farmer's Almanac. We were responsible for calculating sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset, and other times and values. None of those calculations ever required us to account for either of Earth's global curvature or rotation, and all of our calculations were very accurate, typically within 1 minute or less. The only unknown or uncontrollable variable we used to run into was called set and drift, which is how much we were being pushed off course by sea currents. Set and drift are always changing values, random in appearance, based on sea current, and have no known accurate predictor. My advice to flat earthers is this: real science is based on believing nothing anyone tells you, and that includes me. Real science is based on observations and questions, and I think the flat earth community has been doing a great job of aggressively asking all kinds of questions based on observations. I think it's a badge of honor and victory when flat earth people are ridiculed. If people do not want to discuss observations, especially when their own observations are inconsistent with their previous belief, that indicates someone with a small and closed mind. I've lived my life long enough as a small person with a closed mind. I'm willing to answer questions in the comments section, and I thank you for your time.